Hello, everyone, once again. This is Rob, and welcome back to Media Awareness and another review, this time of the Amazon Prime original series Fallout. Before I continue, however, a quick reminder that the fundraiser continues. For those of you unaware, I am a disabled individual, and I use a motorized wheelchair slash scooter all day, every day for my independence, and I need your help. My insurance will not cover anything with regard to my scooter, as they view it as a quote luxury item end quote. Despite the fact that I am unable to walk and unable to use any other type of scooter or a standard wheelchair for that matter, as I only have use of one hand and limited at that. So, with that stated, I have a spot fund account linked below in two places directly below the title and the actual video description itself, and then a separate section below that. Any and all help is welcome. I can't stress that enough. I am doing my best at the current time to keep this scooter operational, and to do so, I have to replace parts, and I have to also pay for those parts to be replaced as well. So it is not a cost effective measure whatsoever. In fact, it is quite taxing, to say the least. So, I do want to extend a wonderful, gracious thanks to those who have contributed thus far, in addition to those who plan on contributing, as your contributions have and will make a world of difference in my life. I pride myself on my independence, and I thrive to be as independent as I possibly can be on a daily basis. And to do so, I need my scooter. I'm unable to function without it. Um, and I do not want to be dependent upon people 24/7 for things that I can do on my own. I'm not 100% independent, I fully admit that. But what I can do, I want to continue doing, and to do so, I need my scooter to be in tip top shape, which it is far from at this point in time. So, as stated, any and all help is welcome. I'm far from reaching the target goal of the fundraiser, so please do what you can. If you're not able to contribute, please like, share, and comment below. And let me know your thoughts on the Fallout show itself, and which Fallout game is your favorite as well, as this is based on a video game series. So, with all of that stated, let us get into this. And I love this series. I think they did a great job on really making this a true to the lore series to a certain degree, and a very palatable series for people that aren't necessarily fans of gaming or not gamers or not just that of that mindset. Now, I do realize there are some uh, sticking points for some people, and I fully recognize that, but that's not for this video to address. This is a review of the actual series itself from Amazon Prime, and I do want to acknowledge that I will be focusing on the main characters of Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul, aka Cooper Howard. Before I get to that, though, I do want to make clear that those will be my primary focuses. I'll touch on some other plot points here and there, but to make this video a lot shorter, I'm just going to focus on our main three characters, as they are the crucial players in this particular iteration of Fallout, at least in my opinion. Some of the subplots and some of the side quests, as we'll call them, for the sake of video game aesthetics, are really interesting in my opinion. But I want to try and stick to the main plot of this. So we start out the show in a pre-war segment with Cooper Howard entertaining uh, kids at a birthday party, as he is is and was an actor. So, and he's a cowboy actor, so he's got the whole get up, and he's got the horse, and his daughters they're helping him out with things, um, and it's really sort of a nice opening sequence, in my opinion. I know a lot of people were hoping for the video game intro, um, as far as how things were played in all the games, um, that were never changes, etc., etc. We do hear that in the series, however, and I feel like that would put a lot of people off as far as an opening to the show. I think it opened perfectly, in my opinion, and it really draws you in to the action. It makes you care initially about this world and about what's happening. Because the way the Fallout universe works, this takes place in the future, technically in our time frame, but in the Fallout universe, after World War II, there was a divergence in timelines, and nuclear power and nuclear energy became crucial to the advancement of mankind and robotics and energy. And the world relied more on nuclear energy as opposed to anything else. Um, so that's kind of where our world differs from the Fallout world. The Fallout world also kind of is stuck in this 1950s sort of aesthetic, and it works very well for the show and for the game, and it really sets it apart from other things out there. So I just wanted to get that out of the way really quick because if you're watching the show, you're going to be seeing these people that have these, sort of 1950s style outfits and, um, the slick back hair, all the things that are really attributed to that time frame in the opening sequence prior to the bombs going off. We then see the bombs going off, and Cooper Howard scoops up his daughter, and they rush off, and we have our beginning of the Fallout show. Um, Now, Cooper Howard does make an appearance later on, 200 some odd years later, and I'll get to that and how momentarily. But I want to skip to our next plot point, which is our main character of Lucy, who is a vault dweller. She was born and raised in a vault, and she is making a case to the vault council as far as why she should be the next one to be chosen to be married off, basically, to someone of a connecting vault. In this particular iteration of Fallout, there are three vaults that are interconnected, and they have sealed doors um, within them, and they have the actual exit to the outside as well that no one really uses, because the outside is not safe yet, as at least that's what they're told on the inside of the vault. And it's really not, but that's okay. We'll get to that momentarily as well. Lucy is awarded the ability to get married. Her father is the overseer, played by Kyle MacLachlan, and an overseer basically is in charge of the vault. That's all. And they meet up with the neighboring vault dwellers and from the interconnected vault, and they have the wedding, and she um, consummates her wedding vows um, in privacy, of course, which is really amusing to say the least. Um, but there's a good point that's made that when all you've known are people that you know your entire life, seeing someone new and being exposed to someone new and someone that you're attracted to is really, it's exciting. And that excitement is really, really shown well, in my opinion. So we go from there to Moldaver, who is in disguise as a vault dweller from the neighboring vault, and she basically kidnaps Lucy's dad after Lucy is violently attacked by her newfound husband. Everyone else is meanwhile being attacked by the other neighboring vault dwellers who just happen to be raiders, not vault dwellers. Meaning they were on the outside and they somehow got inside and they are raising hell. So those who survived were put into containment, and those who um, did not survive. Moldaver makes off though with Lucy's dad, and this prompts Lucy to leave the safety of the vault to find her dad. A very noble cause. And that starts out her journey. Um, we then flash to another main character, Maximus, who is actually part of the Brotherhood of Steel, but he is also uh, very quickly promoted to a squire for a knight of the Brotherhood, which I realize is quite different from the actual game itself, but that's okay. That's something I can forgive. It's rather well done and it makes more sense in my opinion. So this leads to Maximus being assigned to Knight Titus as his squire. Knight Titus is very arrogant and very full of himself, and very quickly meets a rather hysterical demise um, to some degree. Uh, Part of which is shown, part of which is not. Um, but after that, uh, Maximus takes Titus's armor and basically doesn't tell the Brotherhood what happened. It doesn't tell anyone. And he is um, headed to basically track down this person that was working for the Enclave. Um, and not only is he after this person, so is the Ghoul, who is our third main character, who is actually Cooper Howard, 200 some odd years later. Now, ghouls are basically humans that were mutated, but they did not become feral, or they did not become basically, to the layman of this, they did not become uncontrollable, unreasonable, or have no brains whatsoever like a zombie. They're fully aware of who they are, of what they are, and the dangers involved with that. So, with that stated, the goal is shown by some really stupid people who tried to get his help. Um, this escapee from the Enclave, um, and he takes it upon himself to take up the mission on his own. Meanwhile, Lucy has already met this person from the Enclave not long after leaving the vault, and she runs into him again in a settlement called Philly, um, which should not be confused with Philadelphia. This is in California, so it's a settlement. It's not it has nothing to do with Philadelphia. But it's real reminiscent if you play Fallout 4 or know anything about it, in my opinion, of Diamond City. That sort of look, which I actually love that because I love Diamond City in Fallout 4. I digress. So basically, to fast forward quite a bit because there are some things that go on that are important, but you should probably watch this yourself and really enjoy it yourself. If you're not going to, though, keep watching it. And I would help welcome the views as well as your comments. Eventually, Lucy and Maximus meet for a second time. They meet initially in Philly when Lucy is confronting the ghoul very unsuccessfully. Lucy makes off with the gentleman from the Enclave, and she is being trailed eventually by the ghoul and uh, also by Maximus in the power armor from the Brotherhood of Steel. And in the desert, in between settlements, and in between much of the land that was destroyed by the bombs falling, Lucy is basically told by this gentleman that he's not going to make it. Um, he knows that. He took a cyanide pill, and all that she needs to do is take his head to Moldaver, and she'll be happy with what's inside. And he hands her a saw. And we don't see it happen, but we see the after effects of her walking away with the head, which is shown in the trailers. So that's not really a surprise, but it was a surprise as to how she got the head. So she makes her way across the desert, and she eventually meets up with the ghoul, and the ghoul and her get into it, and the head is um, sort of lost in the scuffle, and with that, and a creature of the wasteland itself, and Lucy is basically taken as the ghoul's prisoner for some time. She does get away from him, and she meets up with Maximus once again, who by this point has um, met up with one of his fellow members of the Brotherhood, who mistakenly thinks that he is Brother Titus, not Maximus. And Maximus is not about to tell him otherwise. Otherwise, he would need to explain how he got the power armor. And he milks it for as long as he can, and then he feels bad for the guy, and he tells him who he is and what happened. And because the other guy is very loyal to the Brotherhood, he steals the fusion core that powers the body armor, and it proceeds to not work and lock Maximus inside. Guy takes off um, uh, with the head at that point, as they had acquired the head, um, and Lucy stumbles across Maximus, and she's going in completely the wrong direction, she finds, but that's okay. Because Maximus and her then join up, and they meet up, and uh, they have some run-ins along the way. There does come a point where Maximus comes across his other Brotherhood member, and the Brotherhood member realizes at that point in time that he has accidentally become a ghoul, and that he can't return to the Brotherhood, so he is basically um, giving the head to Maximus, and Maximus gives the head to Lucy because Maximus wants Lucy to get her father back. He's very noble in that regard, which sets him apart from the other Brotherhood members, in my opinion. But that's me. I never liked the Brotherhood deal. So, to fast forward a little further, eventually everyone is separate at this point. Lucy, the Ghoul, and Maximus are all separate. Maximus returns to the Brotherhood. Lucy heads to Moldaver, and uh, the Ghoul is also headed there as well. Because the Ghoul knows her from pre-war days, and that's also shown in a flashback. And she gives him a listening device to basically listen in on his wife, on anything that was crucial that he feels he should know about. And there's a great scene where he drops her off at work and he's getting ready to leave. He planted the listening device on her Pit Boy, and Pit Boy, for those of you unaware, it's basically something you use in vaults, and she's using it to get used to using it. At least that's what we can presume. And uh, he makes his way into the building to her office, so that way he can hear what's going on at closer range. And he hears how Vault-Tec is basically um, going to instigate uh, a massive worldwide uh, event of basically making certain that Vault-Tec succeeds in their goal to not lose out on money that they're going to make on the vaults. And by doing that, they basically set these bombs off. As it was never explained, really, no one ever really knew who set the bombs off or who launched the bombs, launched them uh, in this 2-hour war that nobody could really explain. So it was explained in this that Vault-Tec was behind it, and they were behind it to basically assure the facts that the vaults were, you know, that they survived. Um, as things were getting heated and they're indecisive, there were some uh, points where you may have thought there may be peace, there may not, but Vault-Tec didn't want to take that risk and lose out on money. So they took another gamble and they launched bombs. But Cooper Howard hears this, and as he hears this, um, this gentleman is shown into his wife's office, who wants to meet him desperately, and it's Lucy's father. Now keep in mind, this is in the past, so when we get back to the present, Lucy has already confronted her father at this point. I'm jumping around, I do apologize. I'm trying to get through the whole series. It was 8 episodes. I'm trying to do it in a timely manner here. So, Lucy, at that point, confronts her father about her mother and realizes that there is a ghoul seated at this table that Moldaver is at. and that the goal is her mother. And she has memories of being with her mother, and she thought they were from inside the vault, as there are projections of the outside that they show in the vault for growing the wheat and stuff that they grow in Vault 33. But it wasn't. It was actually outside in this settlement that is where Moldaver is. And Moldaver wants this code that she knows that um, Lucy's dad has, as he was a member of Vault-Tec, and only Vault-Tec was privy to this. And he rambles off the code. She enters it into the computer, which activates the information, the device that she had gotten from the head of the gentleman from the Enclave, and it's basically a source of energy that can power a city. Um, and as that is occurring, the Brotherhood is making their assault on this area, uh, and after having made amends with them, Maximus makes his way into Lucy and Lucy's dad, and uh, they, you know, Maximus sees how upset Lucy is, and he's really feeling for her at this point because she is quite obviously being betrayed, knowing that her dad did lie to her about her life and about her upbringing, about her mother having gotten killed. There are so many things that she was misled on, so she's quite bitter at this point, and she does not want anything to do with him, and he is set free by Maximus, um, but that's a fatal error on Maximus's point. Well, not fatal, but uh, Lucy initially thinks it is because Maximus is laying there bleeding, and she thinks that he is dead because of her father, because her father gets his hands on some power armor and decides to be terrible. And he is confronted by the ghoul at that point, who has also made his way in there. And that's when the ghoul and Lucy and um, uh, sort of see eye to eye, as the ghoul has his flashback as stated that he had met this guy that was Lucy's dad, but when he was much younger and much more ambitious as part of the Vault-Tec program. So when that recognition comes into play, um, Lucy's dad takes off with the power armor, and Lucy realizes that she cannot bring Maximus around. She presumes that he's dead, and the ghoul basically says, you can come with me, and the ghoul has basically taken the dog that was the Enclave's gentleman's dog, and who is referred to as dog meat for those of you who play the game, which I think is great because we always need dog meat around, and they go off together, um, essentially on their own journey at that point. Lucy, the ghoul, aka Cooper Howard, and the dog meat, and Maximus comes around, and the Brotherhood comes in. They proclaim Maximus to be uh, really the champion of things, And at that point, the show closes with seeing uh, Lucy's dad, Kyle MacLachlan's character, on the outskirts of New Vegas. And that's how the show basically closes. There's a lot of things I skipped over. There's a lot of things that are crucial to the actual plot development itself, in my opinion, um, including touching on the fact that each vault had its own experiment. And they were all basically assigned these different experiments, or in some cases, were allowed to make them up on their own, as it was implied that they were in this meeting that took place prior to them launching the nukes and taking care of everything for their own purposes. So, yes, is Fallout worth watching? Yes, it is. Is it worth watching? If you have not played the games, it certainly is. You don't need to play the games to understand it. If you have a brain in your head, you'll understand it. And I I loved what I saw. I think they did a great job on all of the sets, on all of the practical effects. There was just an amazing amount of love and effort put into this show. It was really quite evident for everything that we saw in the show itself. And even from the littlest details, it looks fantastic. Now, as I said prior to this, there are some minor deviations from the actual game lore itself, some of which are explained away, some of which are not addressed. And if you have problems with that, all I could say is, uh, there's always going to be creative liberties. I do realize that Bethesda themselves is behind this show and is basically touting it as being canon, so it is standing as canon. With that being said, everything that had occurred in it by this point in time is pretty much canon. There were some comments I saw online about New Vegas not looking quite the way it should when Lucy's dad is on the outskirts of it, and there is a significant time frame between the events of New Vegas and this show. So a lot could have happened in that time frame. We don't know. We'll find out in season two, as season two was greenlit, and that's exciting because I really enjoyed this show a lot, and I can't wait for season two. I'm already rewatching season one. In addition to rewatching several other shows that I'm going to be doing reviews on as well, such as Westworld, as previously mentioned in other videos, the OA on Netflix, which I'm watching for the third time now, and I am going to be doing a review of Once Upon a Time. I'm putting that off, and I will get to that when I get to it. But there is a lot on the horizon here on media awareness, and there's a lot more to do with music as well. There is going to be a music reaction coming today, actually, following this video. And there is also a lot of new albums coming out soon that I'll be reviewing as well. And on the literature front, I'll be covering some interesting topics there as well, including a concise review of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. So please stay tuned to my channel and become a subscriber if you're not already a subscriber. I'd love to have you as part of my YouTube channel. Also, like I said, please consider liking, sharing, and commenting below on Fallout. What are your thoughts on the show? What are your thoughts on the games, if you have played them? What are your thoughts on the future of this franchise? And, as always, I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.